My last day in New York City, Thursday night football, Vikings at Eagles. It's a short drive. Everybody keeps saying it's a short drive to Philly. Do I go? Why wouldn't I go to kick off the TNF vibes down in a place that might have a Super Bowl team? Do I go to Philly? Let me know at Up and Adam Show. Gronk and I have a same game parlay for tonight. There's a no sweat boost over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Go check it out. We'll talk about that on the show. We have Darius Butler on the program. We have Manti on the program. How often do they think about the Roman Empire? Great one in Philly. Great one here on Up and Adams with Manti and Darius Butler on the show. And wait till I tell you who's on tomorrow's show. It is absolutely loaded. Get your questions in. We appreciate you guys for subscribing over to YouTube. I'm looking at the chat. What's up, Miss Adams? But guys, do I go to Philly? I almost asked a question about the Super Bowl interception, thinking it was Malcolm Butler. I had to stop myself. Darius Butler had some badass interceptions, though. He intercepted Brady a couple times. We've gone over that. It is Darius Day. I've got the crazy extensions in my hair. Guys, do I go to Philadelphia? Marissa McBride's family has season tickets. I could go kick it with them. I could say what up to the Amazon crew. Andrew Whitworth, friend of the show. They'll be there live, of course. And I want to see the game. I want to see Jalen Hurts, the quarterback we didn't get to talk to when we went on our training camp tour, but let's get into it. These are going to be two reigning division champs battling it out. Big game for both teams, but especially for Minnesota. You cannot start the season. I said you could start the season 0-4, but not 0-2, okay? Especially with how good the Lions and Packers looked in week one, and especially after one of the more disappointing performances that we saw on Sunday in the Vikings' 20-17 loss to the Bucs. They turned the ball over 4 times in that game, okay? Twice inside the Bucs' 30, once deep in their own end that led to a Tampa field goal. So Vikings running backs, woof. You get rid of Cook, I get it. We're rebuilding on the fly. We're doing 34 yards on 14 carries. Woof. Woof-tastic, okay? Their first game post Dalvin Cook, it was not cute, okay? It wasn't pretty, but they do have a huge opportunity here to turn it around. Bright lights. They're going up against the defending champs of the NFC, and I think the Vikings' pass game does have an edge here, okay? 2 starters in the Eagles secondary, James Bradbury and Reed Blankenship. They're ruled out. They're not playing. They're not suited up. They're not hanging out. And, you know, the Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison, 4-string quartet vibe that looked pretty damn good in week one, despite some of the sloppiness that we saw elsewhere that led to that loss to the hands of Baker Mayfield and company. I think the Vikings are going to show up tonight. They're going to put up some points and put a lot of pressure on the Eagles' offense to answer. And if you're thinking about the other thing here, as I'm looking at my YouTube chat, the Eagles secondary has some injuries. I know, yeah, this week could be a week the Vikings get a confidence boost, and they need it. Joe Gomez says, woof-tastic. Yeah. You want to talk about Hurts and the Eagles side of things? Let's do it. Speaking of that, they did enough in the rain and slop up in Foxborough to get themselves a win in week one. But they have a statement they want to make in front of their home crowd and maybe me also tonight, right? Jalen and co., they didn't look as sharp as we are used to them seeing on Sunday either. People like Hamilton want to blame the weather and climate change for these things, but I don't know. They scored on this beauty in the first quarter. This was nice. I was like, here we go. But it was the only offensive touchdown they scored on the entire day, okay? They went the final 47 minutes without finding the end zone. The run game struggled to get going. I said Dallas Goedert. I was looking to go 3 for 3, and my K-maker was bop, bop, bop. He didn't have a catch, okay? But despite the win, the Eagles were not satisfied, which I love to see. Listen to their offensive coordinator, who we sat with Nick Sirianni and his beautiful family talking about. It's Brian Johnson, and then Jalen reflecting on the past week's game.
Too sloppy. From just the standpoint of, I think for me, the thing that was really most frustrating is, we had an opportunity up 16-0 with the ball in the minus territory, 3 possessions in a row, and we couldn't get much going.
And I think for us, we just continue to grow through that. We continue to grow. We all have standards. I have standards, and they're very high.
I'm showing you this clip because I love it, because you can't tell if they won or lost the game. They won the game. The emphasis from the Eagles that we heard was this standard, right? The standard for this offense, regardless of the outcome. They know their ceiling. They know how much pressure is on them, what is expected of them, and they're not going to accept anything else. And that's exactly why I'm not at all worried about this Philly group. This is a focused team. That quarterback that just talked is about as focused as I've ever seen any player that's ever suited up to play this game that we love. Kind of to the point that it's a little scary. So I think we see the Birds get things going in a big way tonight with what we know they can do offensively, and the stars the Vikings have on the other side. This does have the potential to be about as fun as Thursday nights get, okay? And this could be it. We're kicking it off. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of hoopla, and I think I just talked myself into being in the building for it tonight. The link is so fun. I've never tailgated there. I've done shows there for NFL Network, like me, Mike Garafolo, Mike Robinson. We've kicked it in the parking lot, but very close to the stadium. I've not walked around. I've not had the full experience. What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What does that look like at Up and Adam Show? Let me know. Some other stuff going on around the league. Yeah, people are excited about this game. Me too. Yes, you're starting Hurts. You crazy? Let's talk about other quarterbacks and other things. Joe Burrow and his new haircut were the talk of Cincinnati, okay? He was all smiles with the media, and, you know, the disappointment of the Week 1 performance seems to have clipped away with those locks of hair. There was something that made me a little nervous from that press conference. He was asked about how comfortable he is scrambling and running and evading and rolling around with the calf. And let's take a listen to his response.
Yeah, we're feeling it out. We're feeling it out.
I couldn't even take a sip of my coffee. Okay, we're filling it out. Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? As they say in Italy. So clearly this calf thing, to me, just from seeing that, it's an issue still. It makes me feel better about the Browns game in a way, though. He's definitely still injured. That makes some sense. It does worry me that the issue could be something that lingers for a bit. People always say if you don't go into the season 100%, you're never going to get back to that. It just kind of sort of goes down and down and down. I don't know. And you know it's in the Ravens' DNA to come after the quarterback in waves, relentlessly, harshly. So, you know, we're going to see his ability to move around in that pocket and the test he's going to be under this weekend with another big division game. The Bengals were able to climb out of an 0-2 hole last year to win a division title, but I don't want to see them in the position again, especially with how this rest of the division is looking. So hopefully we get Cincy back on track at home this weekend. All right, other stuff going on around the league. Let's see. I'm feeling it out every day at work. Who day? Yeah, I'm feeling it out. We're feeling it out. I'm feeling it out, too. I have a bit of a headache this morning. My makeup artist is taking a nap next door. Everybody's feeling it after being in New York and surviving Week 1 and surviving the drama and the emotional toll of what happened to Aaron Rodgers. But other quarterback stuff going on. We heard from AFC Offensive Player of the Week, mind you, Tua Tagovailoa yesterday, and right after he gave sort of all the credit to his teammates and put it on him and their award-winning performances, all of that, he was asked if he thinks people still doubt his ability to throw it deep. And I saw this and I sent it to Matt Hamilton immediately and said, we got to get this in the show.
I don't care. I mean, I don't care. 466 that's what 466 is if I can't throw deep. Thanks.
Is it in there? Oh, I love this so much, guys. He's talking about that. Sorry, I'm talking to my producer, Goldfarb, during that because I've seen it so many times. It is just very cool to see him have no Fs to give. He's all out. There's no room at the end for any Fs that anybody has. He has gained so much confidence over these past 2 years after having his game picked apart left and right from the moment he entered the league. And you can see it on the field as well, okay? He has stepped up to every challenge thrown his way on Sunday, and he has the chance to do something really interesting this weekend as well. We, of course, credit Mike McDaniel with a lot of his confidence and him being sure of himself and all of that. But with a win for these Dolphins, this full screen's kind of crazy. Can we see it? Oh, we don't have it. I thought you meant we don't have the betting full screen. Oh, no, this is such a good... No, this is like... Literally, Hamilton was so excited about this. We really don't have it? Guys, the big deal here is that if Tua wins this weekend over the Patriots, he will move to 5-0 against Bill Belichick. That is about the craziest thing. And to put that into perspective, it pulls him in a tie with Peyton Manning and Josh Allen for the most wins against the Patriots as he took the reins over in the year like 2000, and I was graduating 8th grade. It's so crazy, right? So I know Peyton and Josh Allen had to battle Tom Brady in a lot of their games too, but still Belichick is known for making life hell for young quarterbacks, ask Zach Wilson and company, and Tua has been completely unfazed against this defense over the past couple of years. So we'll see if he can add another chapter to what has been a very impressive history under the lights, the brightest ones there are, on Sunday night. Okay, we don't have that full screen. Maybe we can Goldfarb, can we superimpose it after the show and put it on Twitter? Because it's a great full screen. You promise? All right, Goldfarb is saying that he promises that we'll do that. Okay, I can't talk while you're talking to me. That's the problem. Okay, so you stop talking and I will tell everybody about what's going on tomorrow on the show. I told you we've got Manti. I told you that we have Darius Butler on today, but tomorrow we will have Daniel Jones. He had to move his appearance. He played on Sunday night, didn't go too well, wanted him to rest up, so we finally found some time to hang out with him, and he'll do that ahead of his Week 2 bout. Romeo Doubs, beautiful performance in Week 1. Can't wait to hang out with him, and of course, I mean, Philly's playing the Vikings tonight, so we got to have Deshaun Jackson on the program. We'll have these guys on tomorrow. We're very excited about it to wrap up and head into Week 2. All right, after this, and guys, subscribe, and you guys can check out the show at 11 a.m., 8 a.m. Pacific. Up next, we will be talking to Manti. We're going to get into some NFL action. I want his thoughts on Aaron Rodgers. This is a guy who's been through a lot of adversity. We're going to break down the league with Manti after this. Okay. Can we put that in there post and shoot it out? Great. I thought you meant we don't have the graphic for the end of... You meant we don't have the graphic to back up the SOT for the parlay thing in the B, but which wouldn't make sense. So, sorry about that. I thought you meant we didn't have the no sweat parlay graphic out of the SOT for this intro but why would you have told me that? That's totally my bad. No, I'm okay. Thank you though. Okay. Danny Dimes. Yes, Danny Dimes will be on tomorrow, and Romeo Doubs and company. So we'll do those interviews. Packers defense. Okay, let's see. I haven't memorized the Week 2 slate yet, everybody. I know it's Packers Falcons. Tua did look good. Mm-hmm. Right. I see that. Great. Awesome. And then Manti will be joining us, which we're very excited about. And we have an image of Hyro. Right? I love Salty Tua. You guys, I love Salty Tua. He's put up with so much shit. So it's so nice to have that. And what did I say going into that game? Like, Justin Herbert just got paid, all of that, statement game for Tua, and absolutely crushed it. Falcons beating the Packers on Sunday. I don't know about that. I think Packers win that game. Thoughts on Jordan Love? I just root for anybody who gets overlooked. And I love that Jordan Love looks great because nobody wants to believe that he can be. So anytime that happens, guys, that's great. All right. This is the me and Gronk parlay, guys.
First leg, TJ Hawkinson going for over 25 yards. Come on, he's the highest paid tight end in the league. When you're the highest paid, you gotta go over 25 yards. Come on, Kay.
I'm gonna go with this. Justin Jefferson, 70 or more receiving yards. And that's not a lot, by the way. You just saw Mac Jones in the rain light up this defense. Like, we saw that happen. So even if they keep Justin Jefferson relatively in check somehow, 70 yards is absolutely the floor for Justin Jefferson. So that's my leg. What's your next one?
My other leg is the Vikings to cover plus 8.5. I mean, we're all in with the Vikings, Kay, so let's go. They got to cover.
And the last leg, so this is a 4-leg parlay, guys. No sweat bet. If you opt in, you get bonus bets back, even if we lose. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. If I'll go down in Philly, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay for Thursday Night Football, and I think you should use it on this parlay, right? Or any 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's game. We gave you guys 4 legs on that one. You get bonus bets back if you don't win. Vikings, Eagles, and I think I'm going to this game. I think I did decide. People are tweeting me, we know you're going to the game. Fine, I'm going to the game. I'm leaving New York, headed to Philadelphia, not with our next guest, who I'm very excited to catch up with, though, for the next several minutes. And you guys have questions, pop them in the YouTube chat, and we thank you guys for the subscriptions and the love early here this season. We have a lot of love for this next guy. He was a unanimous All-American at Notre Dame, 7-year linebacker for the Chargers and the Saints, who I love both of those teams, and he's a star of Netflix's Untold documentary series. Manti, how are you?
Hi, Kay. How you doing?
I'm so great. It's great to talk to you. I can't wait to catch up. We're going to break down some football, but I think you've been hanging out with your mini me Hiro and Cairo, right?
Yeah. So Hito and
Cairo this entire time. Let's see. Can we see a picture? I think we have a picture. Tell me about being a dad.
It's the best thing ever, Kay. I'll say that. I think nobody will know what true love is until you have children. And to have my daughter, Hiromi, and my son, Cairo, it's definitely been the biggest blessing for me, for sure.
What's the best part of being a dad?
Just watching them grow up. I think now that I have 2, to watch them play with each other. You know, my son is crawling around. They're actually the complete opposites of each other. My daughter is very shy. She's very loving. My son is very, very rough. And even though he's over a year younger than my daughter, he's bigger than my daughter. He's a lot tougher than my daughter. And I'm excited for when they both grow up. But to see them play together, I think is the best thing about being a dad.
I love that. You guys can hit your questions in the Up and Adam Show chat here. I miss you on the field. I want to talk some football here. You were named a team captain back in 2016 with the Chargers, and then your season ended after week 3 because you tore your Achilles. So obviously I want to ask you about Aaron Rodgers. Same injury, under the bright lights, all the pressure, all the hope of this franchise. It was so difficult to watch. When you saw it happen, what were your thoughts? And give us some perspective on the rehab that goes into that.
Right. Well, when I saw it happen, I remember initially they were saying it was an ankle injury. And the first thing that I looked at was his calf. And right when I saw his calf kind of vibrate a little bit, I immediately told my wife, I was like, it's not an ankle injury. That's an Achilles. Because if it was an ankle injury, I know Aaron Rodgers would have got back up, probably hobbled a little bit, got it taped up and went back in the game. But the fact that he sat right back down and had to have people escort him off the field, and then you saw the little trolley come out to come pick him up. I was like, yeah, that's no ankle injury. But when it comes to the rehab for an Achilles, it is probably one of the hardest rehabs because technology nowadays, when it comes to an ACL or any type of knee injury, by the time they're done, it's basically a brand new knee. With an Achilles, they basically just take the Achilles that just snapped into and they sew it back together. Oof. So it's a cat and mouse game where you can't stretch it that much, but at the same time you want to have that flexibility there. You have to kind of time everything up, and so I think it's very important. And I know Aaron will have those people around him that can help direct him of when to stretch his calf, when to stretch his Achilles, when to rest it, when to strengthen it. But it's definitely one of those injuries that plays a lot of games with your mind. Jason Barrett had his Achilles done a few years ago, and I'm close with Jason, and he reached out to me because he knew that I went through a similar injury, and I told him it's all in his mind. Just don't let his mind go to those dark places, and it'll be fine. It's just a matter of time.
Well, that makes me feel better because I think Aaron Rodgers is like the perfect person. He doesn't really get down on stuff like that. He faces adversity. Like he's sort of built for an uphill climb like that, but it'll be a lot worse. I mean, you were in your mid-20s when that happened. You did play 10 games the next year after recovering, but Aaron's 39 years old.
Yeah, obviously I'm not 39 yet, so I wouldn't be too sure about the age thing. I think it would be different for a person like Tom Brady and a person like Aaron Rodgers, who I know they really look after their body and what they eat and how they train. So I think it's from case to case. I think, like how you said, Aaron has that mentality. He has that spirituality aspect about him where he understands life from a different perspective, different than everybody else. He's very in tune with himself. And I think that's the thing about injuries is if you aren't already, they help you to be very, very accustomed and very in tune to how you're feeling, your mental space, and what it's going to take to get you back to being the best. And, Aaron was the best for a long time. And, I don't think this is, I think this is something that he's going to overcome. And it's going to be something that we don't really talk about for when he comes back and he does his thing. So I'm excited to see his recovery and to see him come back.
Now, Manti, elsewhere in the AFC, leading into Week 1, the game I was most excited to see, even though Bills and Jets were going to happen on Monday night, were the Chargers and the Dolphins. I just thought fireworks, we love Tua, statement game for Tua, that's fine. But on the all-LA side, who I love, I love them, this was just the craziest loss. Okay, this is like a historic loss against them. They gave up a franchise worst 466 passing yards, okay?
Yes.
Coach Staley calls out the defense, saying, man, this entire unit needs to step up. But I feel like this is Groundhog's Day. It's every year. This is the thing. What can the defense fix where we will see results right now?
Well, I think the thing about the Chargers is we've always had the pieces in place, right? We've always had the talent. We always had talent across the board. We have Joey Bosa. We have Khalil Mack. We have Derwin James, right? I think when it comes to certain teams, I like to look at it from a Bill Belichick perspective. Bill does a great job at taking your weapons away. And if you look at the Miami Dolphins, if you can't take number 10 away, it's going to be a long day. And the Chargers had a long day on Sunday. And I'm so proud of my little brother Tua. He's got a lot of flack for a lot of things that I think are totally unnecessary. His ability to throw the deep ball, his ability to, Ryan talked earlier about him looking out of shape and all of that. Me knowing Tua, I know that he worked extremely hard this offseason. And Sunday, I think, was just, it was a demonstration of all the hard work that he put in and all the hard work that he's going to continue to put in, not only as a player, but as a leader for that team. And as far as the Chargers, guys, if we could have just taken away number 10, I think we would have stood a bigger chance of just winning the game, And so we have the pieces, over there with the Chargers. We have the pieces offensively and defensively. Shout out to Tom Telesco. He's done a great job at building that team. We just have to figure out week to week, what are the weapons, what are the people that can beat us, and choose to take those options away so that the offense or the defense has to use other weapons to beat us.
How long have you known Tua? You said he's your little brother. I would love to know a little bit more about what your relationship is with him and how far back you guys go.
So it's funny. When I first got into the NFL, there were stories about this young man named Tua Tagovailoa who he was on the beach early in the morning with his dad during drills, and people would come up to me and say, hey, you have to meet this kid. And I happened to meet Tua and his family, and just to see the similarities between our upbringings. He's Samoan, I'm Samoan. He was born and raised in Hawaii. I was born and raised in Hawaii. And so just to see, just again, the similarities between he and I, and as our paths kind of continued, our paths crossed eventually. He was in the conversation for the Heisman in college at Alabama. He had a lot of success. But he's somebody that I've connected with, and he's somebody that I've kind of taken into my family circle. We call each other often. He'll call me almost every week just to say what's up. He'll actually call me on Saturdays before games sometimes. I think they played the Niners. Before the Niners game last year, he called me the day before the game just to talk story, just to say what's up, see how the family's doing. I checked in on his family, how his mom and dad are doing. It's just a big family. It has nothing to do with football. And that's what's so beautiful about those relationships that are so independent of the game. But to see him do his thing, to see him go out there and be electric, to see him just be unfazed by all the criticism, to go out there and just be a total beast I was so happy to see that. Unfortunately, it had to happen against my Chargers. But, you know, for me to see him do it, I was so happy for him and his family.
I love hearing that. What do you make of how he's been with the media? You, of course, have a complicated relationship with the media, but Tua, a lot of people are surprised. A lot of people are supporting him, but hanging on to how he's just not having it this year. You know, I love it.
Yeah, you know, I love it because it's giving people more color of Tua. You know, Tua's not trying to be the politician. Tua's not trying to be the franchise quarterback for the NFL. Tua's going to be Tua. And I love that he's getting that scrappiness about him. And that's something that it's good to see somebody in that light be human, to be able to see criticism affect him a little bit, but then to see him respond the way that he's responding, not only behind the podium, but more importantly on the field. And he's continuing to do it, in my opinion, and with class, with poise. And I know that just how he's been raised by his parents, he's going to continue to represent his family, represent his culture, and represent everybody who he loves the best way that he can. He is going to be human. And again, like I said, I love that the criticism is kind of bringing that part of Tua out.
I was going to say, so I want to make sure I have this clear. Tua this is his reaction to criticism, or when you say Tua's gonna Tua, is this something that he's had, like the kids say, that dog in him this whole time? Because a lot of people think he's quiet, similarly to Justin Herbert, and being quiet, reserved, a little bit more introverted. Like, tell me, you know Tua. Tell me who Tua is.
No. Tua got that dog in him now. You know, he's got that dog. You don't accomplish all the things that he's accomplished without having that dog in him. And it has a lot to do with Tua, but it has a lot to do with his father and how he raised Tua to be resilient. Tua's the oldest in his family. And, you know, for a lot of people that don't understand what being the oldest in a Samoan family means, you're basically like, there's your father and then there's you. Like, you're the next guy in line. So you're being molded since the day you were born to take over a family. And to have that pressure, it just builds greatness. And you see that in Tua. And I'm just so happy that Tua started to bring that feistiness out. He also has that poise, which is needed to be a quarterback, which is needed to be a leader in his family, in his community. And so it's just a beautiful thing to see him pick and choose when to let these different attributes and characteristics out that I know he has and that the world is starting to see.
I love that. And he's got a big game this week. I pointed it out before you hopped on. He's taking on Bill Belichick, a really good defense, as you know. Belichick destroys young quarterbacks, but not Tua. We have it right here. I think Tua's 5-0 against Bill Belichick, which is in rare air. Like, he's up there with the Peyton Mannings. He gets one more. He's 5-0 against him. So I'm sure you're wishing him luck. Do you think he can pull it off this week and go 2-0?
I definitely think Tua. I'm a Tua fan. I'm a Tua believer. I'm always gonna root for Tua, just because of who he is and my relationship with him. And you know, he's 4-0 against, you know, according to that graphic. I have no problem that he's gonna go 5-0. I think it's gonna be a little bit more difficult because, like I mentioned before, Bill Belichick will make sure that number 10 doesn't beat him.
Yeah.
But the Miami Dolphins have so many different weapons out there, and the head coach does a great job in putting those weapons in different places and helping them make plays. So I think it's going to be a great game, though. Two Alabama quarterbacks going back to back, facing off each other. I think that's going to be it's going to be a great atmosphere.
It'll be a fun one. I wish you were there for that one. And of course, I just wanted to quickly say thank you for all of the work you did in supporting Maui. And I know you worked with your Chargers on that. And you mentioned Hawaii, of course, with your connection with Tua. So I just thought it was, we all saw it and are trying to help support. We had Marcus Mariota on as well. And I know people are still really ravaged by what went on there. Yeah. And so the support by you was really huge. Now, you weren't just with the Chargers. And we're not just here to talk about Tua. We got to talk about the Saints here for a little bit.
Yes.
And I know that Sean Payton isn't there anymore. But we're talking about guys that got that dog in him. Like, he's got like a crazy dog in him. What's your best Sean Payton story?
My best Sean Payton story, I would have to say, was after we won. I forget what game it was, but it went viral. It was that little dance that he kept doing in the locker room. And usually Sean would let the boys, after our game, we called it club. What we called it? Florida Lee, I think
Club
it was
Dub?
Called. Or club,
Oh, okay.
I think Club Florida Lee or whatever. But anyway,
Yeah, that
we
was
was in there.
Chicago.
The disco lights were going, and it's usually like the players, we get in a circle, we start dancing, having a great time. That's probably one of the best memories of football is after a win. But then Sean gets in there and he starts doing that little dance like that, right? And we're like, what is this man doing? But it goes viral. He's just somebody who's really unapologetic. That's Sean Payton. He's unapologetically him, and it's something that separates him in a lot of ways. He's such a brilliant mind for the offensive game, and you saw it with the Saints. How he was able to put Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, all of these guys, Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army knife in different positions to make plays, and we're just so lucky to have one of the greatest of all time at quarterback in Drew Brees.
Does Sean have any soft side to him?
With his kids, I would say. When he's around his kids,
Cute.
It's a different Sean Payton. But when he's not with his kids, yeah, it's you just gotta. He's like a father. You got to figure out how he's feeling in the day. You got to figure out, okay, did dad come back from work mad, or is he happy? And then based on how you see him interact with other people, you're like, okay, like he's cool today. Let's go talk to him. You know what I mean? So you got to fill him out first.
I think that's super accurate, and I would avoid him at all costs. Like, to me, I would just be like, he's walking over here with that clipboard. I'm going to go over here.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Saints, though, right? It looks like the division could be theirs. New quarterback in town, Derek Carr. He leads them to a win over the Titans week 1. They've got a nice little schedule. Panthers week 2. What is the ceiling for the Saints?
I think the ceiling for the Saints is always high. I mean, you have Michael Thomas back. Hopefully Mike can stay healthy. He hasn't been healthy in about 2 years, I think. And now we have a quarterback like Derek Carr, I think, who is somebody that not only can manage the game, but that can win you a game. I think there are two different types of quarterbacks. There are managers and winners. And Derek, DC, he's one of those guys that I think can be that person for the New Orleans Saints. You have the Swiss Army knife in Taysom. I'm so excited for week 4 when AK comes back. AK is one of my favorite running backs to watch. I remember my rookie year, he put me in a blender in OTAs one time, and I was like, oh, I'm never guarding this rookie again. I was like, hey, give me the rookie. And then when he came out, ran his little pivot route, and I was in a blender, I was like, yeah, never give me the rookie again. So he was somebody who I knew was going to be special since the day that I met him. Unfortunately, it was that day at practice. But I can't wait to when he comes back in week 4. You have Chris Olave on the outside, just a spectacular athlete, fast, in and out of the breaks, vertically fast, has great hands. They come from the Ohio State pedigree. But I think it's a totally different situation than the Chargers. Defensively, they have that identity, and they had that identity for a long time. And when I played there, There was this commitment to excellence. Now you have a guy like Demario Davis, who's just, you want to talk about a leader, that's a leader. He's a leader on the football field. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a leader in the community. You have Cam Jordan, who's one of my favorite humans of all time, somebody who has that energy. He's one of those guys that he's a culture person. Mark Ingram was like that too. There are certain pieces in the locker room that are culture pieces, and once you remove those culture pieces, your program goes through this transition process of trying to figure out what identity they now have. Cam is one of those guys. And so you have him, you have Marshawn, who in my opinion is the best cornerback in the league. Marshawn, he's not scared of anybody. You look up fearless in the dictionary, you'll see Marshawn's face. He follows the best receivers. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's not afraid to get physical. Over the years, you've seen he's got into a bunch of little scuffles there during the game just because he's so physical and he's not scared of anybody. He's going to continue to compete no matter what it is. But you look at that defense, top 5 in the past few years, and they're going to continue to be that. They're going to continue to do that. Last year was just all about what are we going to do offensively. Now we have a quarterback that can get the ball to the pieces that we want to get them to. You have Chris Olave, who's going into his second year. He's a lot more comfortable. He seems to be the wide receiver one for them now. Now you have Mike Thomas coming back, who set records in 19K?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
you have all of these pieces around there that, like, pick your poison. You know, what are you going to do? Are you going to stack the box when AK gets in the game? Good luck, because now you have Chris Olave, you have Mike.
Well, the question
Mike
is
out there.
Derek Carr, and the question is Dennis Allen, right? Because they're loaded. So
Yeah.
can they?
Well, I
the
think-
question, there's a similar question with the Chargers. Can Brandon Staley get them there?
Well, I think it's a little different situation with the Saints, because the same offensive coaches, for the most part, are still there.
Yeah.
And so they still have that system that was there when Sean was there, and when Drew was there, when they're drawing up all of these plays for Taysom and drawing up all of these plays for AK and Mike Thomas and all of that. It's just a different face now. Dennis, although he's the head coach, he's still
Yeah.
the defensive mind, you know. So there's more similarities there when I was a Saint than I would say for the Chargers. So I think they're a little different.
I mean, but you took on Dennis Allen, right, with the Raiders, and you took on Derek Carr in the AFC West. Derek Carr got it?
I think Derek Carr has enough with the pieces around him to do it.
Okay.
You know, when you have the talent that the Saints have, you just don't want to have somebody that's going to lose you the game. And DC is one of those guys that I don't think, watching his career, that he's going to lose that game. And if ever they're put in that situation, Derek has, he'll step up and say it's his fault. You know, he's not somebody that's going to look to blame anybody. And I think that's a big thing in a leader. He's a very spiritual person. He's a devout Christian, and with that comes a lot of poise, a lot of reflection, a lot of perspective that goes into being a leader of that type of team, where there's so many different characters, there's so many different alphas, that you have to be that guy that kind of come in there and just be that cool, calm, collected person that they can look to. They say, okay, when things start getting chaotic, whether it's in the game or at practice, we need you to be the one to bring everybody down. And I think DC is that guy.
It's really well said. I want to ask you about Notre Dame. Thank you for your NFL analysis. But the Untold documentary, there's been a lot of praise for your part in this, especially, I mean, the series was really powerful. And you have a message about forgiveness. So what has it been like hearing sort of the empathetic, positive response?
Well, it's been such a blessing, Kay, honestly. But I think what has been the most surprising for me is the reach that documentary has had, the reach that story has had, that there's been so many people around the world that have reached out, that have gone through so many different things, that have been suicidal, that have had bouts of very, very dark, deep depression, and how my story has inspired them. And I never thought that would have happened going into this project. And so even more so now, there's a responsibility that I have to really carry this flag, if you could say it that way, where I could be an inspiration to people to just keep going, no matter what it is. Just have some grace, be kind to others, you know. And I think the way that our society is going, I think we could show a little bit more love, we could show a little bit more kindness, we could show a little bit more understanding, and the more that we can come together as one, the better off we'll be. And I think if I could just sprinkle a little bit more love and peace in this world, I think that's the thing I'll be most happy about. But it's definitely been a blessing for me to see the positive impact that it's had. And, you know, if I could wish for anything, that's what it would be.
It's really, really beautifully said. And we're going to wrap it on Notre Dame, because hopefully there's some positivity there as well. Number 9, they've been crushing it. They've got a bit of a packed schedule ahead, though. If we look, they got Ohio State. They've got Caleb Williams, USC. What's the game that Manti Te'o's circling on the calendar as a must-watch? And what's the ceiling on this squad?
Well, the one that is a must-watch for sure is that Ohio State game. I think that is something for Coach Marcus Freeman, being an Ohio State alum. It's something that he's going to circle too. And so I'm definitely circle that game. For the Notre Dame Fighting Irish fans, I will be at the USC game. And so I'm definitely always circling that one as well. But I think the ceiling is they have no ceiling. The ceiling is whatever they want it to be. I mean, I think that's been the thing for Notre Dame that we've always suffered from. We'll play so good against really good teams. I remember we beat Clemson when nobody thought we were going to beat Clemson, but then we'll go and we'll lose. Like we lost to, I think it was Tulsa my sophomore year, you know, and it's one of those things you look at it like, how can these two teams be the same team? I think in order for Notre Dame to be where we need them to be, number one, follow Coach Marcus Freeman. I am a firm believer, Kay, that every team is a reflection of their head coach. You look at the identity, you look at the toughness, you look at the resilience, you look at the culture. It's all a reflection of the head coach. And I am a big fan of Coach Marcus Freeman. I love his values, his morals, what he's trying to do there with those young men on and off the football field. So I think as they continue to embody his outlook on football, his character, who he is, I think we're going to be in a really good place. It's just a matter of time. We have a really good quarterback who's had a lot of success at Wake Forest, I believe it was. And I think, again, just like with the Saints, as long as you have somebody at the general position that can win you the games, that can be that calm amongst the storm when things start getting chaotic, just stay right in the middle, whether it's high or low. He's that guy. That's all the best quarterbacks in the league have that ability, in my opinion, to be very, very poised individually and as a team. And I think we have that in the quarterback that we have. I love estimating how he runs the ball. He's one of those old school. He reminds me of Jerome Bettis, just downhill bruiser. But once he gets into space, he has the ability to separate a little bit. And we saw that in the past two games with him. But again, I think the defense we're starting to figure it out a little bit. We're starting to play more physical. And I think as we bring those two worlds together, again, the sky's the limit for my team. I'm always going to. I'm in BYU country, Kay. I'm around U of U and BYU fans. I gotta get my Notre Dame flag out there, you know.
Well, you go visit. You go visit a lot. You are still wrapped up in the team. You're always representing that squad. That fan base loves you. It's so interesting, all the words and all the different, we've talked about so many different players from college to this. It's toughness, it's resilience, it's mental, I don't even know, like the vibes, like getting through things, forgiveness. It's all the things that you really have personified your entire career.
Thank you, Kay.
Like you were thrown something nobody else has been thrown. You've been through this crazy whirlwind, undeserved, weird, and you've made it on the other side, carrying that flag, for being able to get over it, for being able to move past it. You're a dad. It's just been really lovely and a lot of really inspiring perspective to just have here on a Thursday morning. So thank you, Manti.
Oh, thank you so much, Kay. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And you're killing it with the analysis, by the way. So somebody come snatch up Manti Te'o. All right, next up, we appreciate him for joining us. A lot of love for the Chargers, the Saints, for our boy Tua. I learned a lot in that segment, and it doesn't stop there. Hamilton is here to give us a preview of how the Vikings will pull out all the stops on offense tonight against the Eagles. Thanks, Manti. Gosh, he is fascinating. He should coach at Notre Dame. You know, a lot of questions about whether or not he should be a coach. So maybe we'll ask him that if he comes on again. That Tua stuff was great. Let's definitely rip that out on social. I don't know. I figured they had some sort of relationship, but that was a great deep dive. I think it could be broken up into two clips. One that starts when he says he's got that dog in him. That's a great rip. I think that Dolphins fans will like to see. Yeah. Can you guys get that to Bailey if he doesn't hear me? You up should be a minute, and it looks like it's a minute. Yep, we'll be good. Yeah, tell Hamilton we'll fly through the seas. Great. Why don't we just sort of start it then there? Why don't we start through the break? So I'm just gonna how do you want to do that? Uh-huh. Like sort of right away. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of hit it. So are you stacked and ready to go on that? Okay. You guys, I saw Paul Rabel yesterday as I was walking around New York City. Like from yesterday to today. I also saw Allie Raceman. I saw a bunch of sports, all the sports people I love, just running around New York.
Strong.
Thursday Night Football hours from now, I'm going to Philadelphia. This guy, Matthew Hamilton, is not for some reason because he's at some hockey game with some French settlers. I don't know what's going on, but he is here because there's a lot of star power on the field in Philadelphia tonight. Vikings, Eagles. What are you looking out for?
Well, these two teams met last year in week 2 as well. Cousins threw 3 picks. Justin Jefferson had just 48 yards. It was a kind of a nightmare for Minnesota, but they didn't have TJ Hawkinson in that game yet. They didn't have Jordan Addison, obviously, either. So while the turnovers cost the Vikings last week, we saw a lot of good things out of this offense, and that's what I want to focus on here as we go to the tape. Because there is a lot of interesting stuff. Look at this. 3rd and 11, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, all to the same side of the field. Jefferson's in the slot. He's running a deep out. Addison's got a skinny post. And watch what happens here. The defense pays so much attention to Jefferson, as they should. You got the overhang defender there. The corner has eyes on him. The safety has eyes on him. And that's just enough of a hesitation for Jordan Addison to be able to blow past all of them for a touchdown. And that's the thing. Addison adds that explosive element that this offense really hasn't had from that number 2 receiver position before. No disrespect to Thielen. Just adds a little bit more juice there. And if you're going to focus on Jefferson, he's going to make you pay. And here, 3rd and 13, later in the game, same thing, all 3 to the same side. They go no huddle again, which puts even more stress on the defense. Jefferson's going up the seam. And once again, hands on him right off the line of scrimmage from the nickel. The safety's going to have eyes on him. And watch corner Carlton Davis there at the bottom of the screen. His hips are flipped inside just in case Jefferson runs a corner so he can pick him up. And that opens the door just enough for Addison to break on this out, get into space, catch the ball, and just pick up that first down. And then if you don't pay enough attention to Jefferson, he's going to do this like he did to the Bucs all day too. It's just so hard to defend this offense with all that talent, with what they have in this passing game. I don't know if they're going to win tonight because the turnovers are a real issue. The run game, as you mentioned earlier, is a real issue. I don't know if their defense is good enough to stop Philly. But I think we're going to see Cousins put up some yards. His line is 262.5 tonight. I think he gets over that. And I think we're going to see him push 5,000 yards this year with all this talent that they have in this group of pass catchers.
Short week. He did have 344 just a couple of days ago, and the secondary did give up over 300 yards to Mac Jones as we saw weird conditions, but the Eagles might be missing our friend C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so a nice little test tonight to see where the defense stands. Hammer, appreciate you. Let's get the good people some sleepers. Me and Hamilton cooked up over the weekend, so let's do it whether you're playing daily. I want to make sure these guys are picked up. If you didn't on waivers, maybe they slipped through. And let's start with this guy, Mac Jones, who we were just talking about a little bit. He put up over 300, like I said. The Dolphins' defense looked a little shaky tricky against the Chargers. So I think he puts up some numbers next. Falcons running back Tyler Algier. He's got the Packers. Even with Bijan, this dude still had 19 touches last week. Are you kidding? He had 2 touchdowns, 94 yards. So you get a lot of value from him in daily. So take advantage. And Michael Pittman Jr.'s got the Texans. I've been waiting for a Colts quarterback to feed him the damn ball for years, and it looks like it's finally happening with Anthony Richardson. Hit 11 targets against the Jags last week and snagged 8 for 97 and a score. We're going to take a short little break here. We've got Darius Butler on the show. I'm sure he's got thoughts on Michael Pittman Jr. and Anthony Richardson getting him the ball. We'll be back after this. Mr. ESPN star doing college, doing NFL. We've got Up and Adams, Darius Butler next. All right, let's do it. We're gonna do this now, okay, Darius?
Let's go.
All right, lose the countdown clock.
We got the countdown. It's
Ready?
like behind the scenes, kind of in there, out there.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. But whenever you're ready, Goldfarb, hit it. Hit this up. Why? Okay. Make the call.
Somebody stop me, I'm on the groove. Move, stop me, I gotta drive and I gotta choose.
Move.
Busiest man alive, our very good friend. Hopefully he's staying hydrated, he's eating, he's keeping some sort of schedule. 9 years in the NFL as a defensive back, and now you can see him every week on ESPN's NFL Matchup. You're seeing him on Pat McAfee's show on ESPN, taking over, and the host of the Man to Man podcast. Darius, how's everything going?
It's going great, even better now that I'm here, but it's going awesome, man. Glad to be here. Kay, glad to see you.
Good to see you, too. Let me ask you this. I don't know if you're on TikTok. How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
More often lately than I would say ever before. But that's a weird question. Wasn't expecting that one. But oddly enough, I was actually doing some research on the Roman Empire a few months ago. Just making sure that, we weren't. I was just making sure there's a lot of things going on here and around the world. Empires only have a certain amount of time that they can stay on top. So, I'm a historian over here. So just doing some research. That's all, okay? That's all. But where the hell did that question come from?
Because there's this TikTok thing where where women are realizing that every man in their life spends time at least once a week thinking about the Roman Empire. And as a woman, it's just like, why, when, what? I've never thought about the Roman Empire outside of like Gladiator. And so every man's like, yeah, I thought about it today. Yeah, I thought about it. And it's the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Well, there you go. I thought about it too, and I gave you my why. So now I'm going to be thinking about it even more. There we go.
I mean, you're saying why. It's like, you're basically saying it's because you think shit might go down? Like, I still don't understand, but you're a busy man. We got a lot to get to. So I saw that you were on ESPN announcing the Texas-Alabama game. You guys did an incredible job. It looked so fun. But what was that like? What was the Matthew McConaughey vibes? Tell me about it.
I mean, it was awesome. And Matthew McConaughey, the minister of culture over there for the Texas Longhorns. I mean, just that environment, though, that was my first time being in an SEC stadium for a game. We did the Peach Bowl last year, which was Georgia and Ohio State. And it was kind of a home game for Georgia, but it was nothing like being in Bryant-Denny Stadium. At night at that, saw the college game day experience, behind the scenes, being there with Pat. It was just awesome. But Texas came to play. Texas showed up. They came to play. A lot of energy. Obviously, you saw when McConaughey joined the program. And where we stood, that was kind of A.J. Hawk's call. Kind of, we were about to leave and move that spot. And AJ's like, no, let's hang out here. I feel like Texas is going to score a touchdown. And a few minutes later, McConaughey comes over, and Xavier Worthy with a bomb for Quinn Ewers. It was just awesome. We probably caught 3 or 4 touchdowns right at us. It was just an overall awesome experience with me, Pat, and the boys.
From college to the NFL, Minnesota at Philly, that's tonight, a couple hours from now. I'll be at the game. Tall task for this Vikings defense against Jalen Hurts. What do the Vikings need to do to slow down the Eagles' offense and Brian Johnson?
I mean, they're going to have to get home. They're going to have to get home. And Brian Flores is going to send pressure. He sent a lot of pressure last week. But they're going to have to get home. And Jalen Hurts and that incredible offense didn't get off to a great start last week against the Patriots. You know, Jalen Hurts didn't play, I don't think, at all in preseason. We see a few quarterbacks around the league. You know, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, a lot of these great quarterbacks didn't get off the great starts to start. So hopefully we'll see Jalen Hurts on a quick week kind of turn that around. And on the other side, you know, Kirk Cousins did get off to a hot start statistic-wise, but a big loss to the Bucs, a surprising loss too to the Bucs. So I know they're trying to get things turned around up there as well.
Is there a wide receiver defensive back matchup that you're looking at? Like, how do you slow down Justin Jefferson?
Of course. Last year on primetime, I believe it was Monday Night Football, early in the season, Slay, big play Slay. And he got in the end zone last week, got a pick six, I think a 70-yarder. And this was the best job I've seen anyone do on Justin Jefferson with what big play Slay did to him last year, just locking him up. You can tell was anticipating, studied a lot of film, knew what was coming a lot in the red zone, on the outside. So big play Slay locked up on Justin Jefferson, but I heard Hammer Time talking about it. Jordan Addison on the other side. He's an explosive player. James Bradbury will be out with injury. Blankenship, I believe, is out as well. So that's a guy to definitely keep your eye on as that wide receiver, too, to kind of get off because you know Slay's probably going to be following around 18. That's what I would do at least.
Season opener last week, Chiefs lose to the Lions. Chris Jones back in the building. Hopefully Travis Kelce's not, hanging out with Taylor Swift. He'll play in this game as well. Will it be enough to get a win over the Jags? Should we be worried about the Chiefs at all?
No. I think a lot of people came in last year worried about the Chiefs because Tyreek Hill came down to Miami. Thank God once again that happened. But no, Travis Kelce hopefully will be back in the lineup. And the passing game revolves around him. He is basically wide receiver one. I think Kadarius Toney, who had a terrible start to his season, I think the Giants getting blown out brought him back to life. I think he bounces back as well. And then Chris Jones being there, obviously their best player on defense, them figuring something out, he'll be there. So I'm not worried about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think it's 0% chance, even though I love Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, 0% chance the Chiefs start off 0-2. And if it happens, just please erase this clip.
You'll get more from Darius Butler on his podcast and all over ESPN. Everybody check it out. Roman Empire, who knew? We'll see you guys tomorrow with Daniel Jones. Thanks, GB.